then it's turning out to be a disaster. Let's hope this still works. Now that my drink has cooled off and I have some hope of having a voice, welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by the sound of my voice, I'm pretty sick at the moment and I want to make the most of my weekend. And I thought today we could make some cheese. Read a recipe online. I think I actually originally watched an Instagram reel or a TikTok or something, and I had a go a couple of weeks ago and it went really well. So now I kind of want to try again, new and improved version 2, and take you guys along with me on that journey. So to start cheese, you basically need milk and something to curdle it, so vinegar. Typically, traditionally, you use rennet, but that's kind of fancy. I don't know where to get that from. When I read this recipe, the only thing available to me was Woolies, so I got the super fatty milk, because basically the more fat, the more cheese you get, and then white vinegar. Following calls for 1.9 liters of milk. I used 1.5 last time, it worked out fine. I'm now using 3 because I want a little bit more than what it makes. The first step is just to heat your milk up, but to continuously stir it so that you don't burn the bottom. And you basically want to get it to 46 degrees. And I've got this digital thermometer that can show me exactly what the temperature is. So I'm going to use that one. Currently it is 28 degrees, so we got a little while. We have a little while to go. I've got this on a medium-high heat, just because I don't want the bottom to burn. I want it kind of gently to come to 46 degrees. While my milk is warming up and I'm occasionally stirring it, I'm going to measure out the vinegar. So according to the recipe, I need 7 tablespoons of white distilled vinegar. Because I have 3 liters in here, I'm gonna just about double the amount of vinegar that's in the recipe. And that should work. It just needs to be enough to curdle it, basically. So 4 to 5 tablespoons of vinegar is about 105 milliliters, apparently. And I've got an 80 ml cup here, so I'm just gonna do 2 of these. I'd say that's roughly about as much as we need to make this milk curdle once it's warm. That was actually warm enough. I kind of made it go a little bit too warm, so I'm just gonna wait for it to cool off. Yeah, it's at 54, which is a little bit warm. Hopefully it still works. So it did also say on the recipe that the vinegar needs to be white distilled vinegar at 4 to 5% acidity, but this is just normal white vinegar from like the shop, and that worked last time, so I'm gonna go with that. I think it was this one anyway. And it's turning out to be a disaster. Let's hope this still works. Oh well. Okay, it's currently 47 degrees. So I'm going to throw in the vinegar now. I know that's not 48. Technically it's a little bit too warm, but I don't think it will matter that much. So it basically says to add the vinegar and then stir for 30 seconds. And it's starting to get these little chunks, which is what you want. You want it to sort of start to curdle. And then we basically have to sit and wait for it to finish that process. So I'll come back in about 20 minutes and see how it's gone. Okay, so it's been 20 minutes, so I'm gonna separate out all the curds from the whey. Trying to keep all that liquid in the pot. Alright, I think I got all of it. Now I just want to reheat this up to about 85 degrees, and that's just so we can use it as water bath for the mozzarella in a second. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is squeeze out as much of the liquid out of this as possible. Now I've washed my hands, they're super clean, and I'm going to be doing this into 4 portions, or into like little balls, so that they're like a serving each. You could probably use a cheesecloth for this, honestly. I don't have one, so hands will do. You don't really need one, to be honest. It just makes it obviously easier. And this is just a bowl of cold water. But yeah, I'll just repeat that process until I've got my little balls of mozzarella. So interestingly, as it was heating up, I managed to get a bunch more curds out, so I must have needed to wait a little bit more than 20 minutes, maybe because I have more milk. Now I'm just warming up the whey so that I can dip the mozzarella balls into the whey, warm them up, and then you fold them in different ways to get balls. So this bit you got to be a little bit careful because it's quite hot. The whey is quite hot, I mean. So you basically dip it in, take it out, be careful because it's hot, and then you kind of, I mean, it says to fold, it doesn't say how, and I'm definitely not best at this, but you basically just continue to dip it in and manipulate it, and eventually it starts to come together, which I'll show you in a second. Key thing is you don't want to keep it in there too long because it starts to kind of melt, which is kind of what you want, but you want like controlled melting. You don't want it to just fall apart or stick. It says you can microwave it as well, but I feel like it's easier to do in the hot water just because it's less likely that you're going to burn yourself. I mean, it is still hot water, but it's like the hottest bath you could ever manage, basically, as opposed to like microwaving where only part of it would become hot, I think. Anyway, I'm going to keep doing this and I'll show you when it's come together. It's starting to get a little stretchier. I feel like that's where I want to leave it. Like, I don't want particularly tough mozzarella, so I'm just going to form it into a nice ball, warming it a bit, and then move on to the next one. Moment of truth, it does actually taste any good. I definitely forgot to add salt. This is a really great idea if you want to just like make cheese on a weekend. Now all I have to do is learn how to make bread and grow some tomatoes, and then I have a completely homemade sandwich. Well, thank you for joining me today on this random rabbit hole of energy. Hopefully next time I will not be so ill, and you can join me on my next crafting adventure. Thanks for watching. That was so good.